Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope. Super excited about this episode this week. This is Sarah, as always, here as one of our co-hosts, and then this is Charlie Schultz. He is one of our truck leads for our donation pickup line. He's been here for about a year and a half, and I'm just super excited to have you here, and thanks for saying yes to this. So, it's going to be fun. So I kind of would love just to hear from the beginning here kind of how you got involved with the Dream Center to begin with.
Well, I owned a company in Connecticut, and I'd been doing it for 20 years, and it was getting old. Guys were fighting all the time, and and I was trying to volunteer at my church. So if I took a day to volunteer, literally everybody fell apart.
Right.
And I would get texts for weeks about how they hate this person, or they're not doing this, or they're not doing that. So my kids already graduated high school. We're in college. So I was just like, it's not worth it anymore.
Right.
So then I started looking for a job, and I found the Dream Center, but I wasn't coming for a year. And so I talked to Tony. He gave me the job.
Yeah.
And then like a few months later, he said we had to fill the position. So then I just started praying for a similar job. I really wanted a job, honestly, like doing maintenance at a church.
Right.
Because my maintenance guy was awesome at my church.
Yeah.
And then so this job was off the table. And then I moved down here. And I happened to be on Indeed looking for another job. Yeah. And I saw this job again. I called Tony. Wow. I started like in a week.
That's crazy. I didn't know that you had got offered the job before you actually moved down here. I didn't know that's awesome. Yeah. I love that the Lord ended up working that out. And so is like the truck aspect side of things, or like pickup donations, all that stuff, is that part of like your background at all? Had you done that before?
I've moved furniture since I was 13.
Okay. So, amazing.
Wow. So
it's kind of like a
just an extension of what I used to do.
Yeah, long love, done it for a while. That's awesome. So let's get into the fun stuff. Obviously, like the whole point of this podcast is stories of hope. Like we're here to, offer hope through testimony and through encounters with God and just kind of what we've seen through our life. So I'd love to kind of just get going on some of your background and kind of just your walk with the Lord to this point.
So in my family, it was a generational curse, alcoholism, drug addiction. So it was pretty inevitable that that's what I was going to do. So I remember like when it first started, I was probably like 10 and we started sneaking cigarettes, me and my little brother. Yeah. And then slowly it just turned into some beers. And for a long time I was just an alcoholic. But I started getting in trouble at a young age. Yeah. Probably same age as 10, 12. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was not. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she didn't do anything. Yeah. So I started getting locked up when I was probably like 12 or 13. In retrospect, a lot of times I think maybe it was a little safer in jail than it was at my home. Because I had control of the narrative then a little bit. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My dad would get drunk, and I'm not trying to talk trash.
No.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Both my parents had passed, so. And literally nothing I'm saying. I don't want to trash nobody.
Yeah. No, we're with you.
But I learned a lot from my father when I had my kids. Right. Because I just didn't do a lot of things he did. That's the difference. Yeah. But anyhow, I started getting locked up when I was really young. So from 13 to like 21, I was in and out of facilities nonstop. They actually like knew me as soon as I came through the door. And sometimes I think maybe I was running from the streets or running from my house. Yeah. It was an easy escape. And it was a pattern that I got into. It was hard to get out of because it was so, like when things got too crazy like at school or at home, or I had problems on the streets, I would just go get locked up. Right. And I knew what I was doing before I did it. So anyhow, when I was 13, I started going to AA.
Okay.
And then I went to AA outpatient in facilities pretty much from 13 to 25. Then, I started having my kids when I was like 21. My oldest son was born. And then I started to have a want to stop doing what I was doing, but I was so locked in.
Yeah.
So we went through that for a long time. I lived with my kid's mother, and I never treated her right because I only knew what I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
We're still really good friends, but
Yeah.
and so my kids got taken when I was like 22 or 23, and I really wanted to stop. I just could not. I mean, I went to rehab twice during that time.
Yeah.
A couple mental institutions, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So my kid's mother stayed with me for way longer than she should have anyway. So when she finally did leave is when I started doing cocaine and stuff. And that's a crazy story because I thought it was going to kill me because I could never smoke marijuana because it made me so sick.
Right.
So then I was like, somebody kept offering me some coke and I tried it thinking it was going to kill me, which almost like it was 5 years of hell, but.
Yeah. Right.
And during that time, well, it was longer than 5 years, geez. But it was a long run and during that time I did a lot of coke, whatever you can think of. I smoked crack. I was shooting cocaine for a while. But no more facilities. I stayed out of jail because the kids needed me so bad, and I always worked like them. I've worked my entire life.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do that, but there's a whole timeline of mess.
No. Yeah.
So when I was 37, I had a stroke. And to be honest, I was winding down because I'd already stopped cocaine. At that point, I was taking pills. And when you're a drug addict, you're like, oh, well, I stopped coke. I'm just doing pills and drinking now.
Right.
I always drank heavy. And then I was at work, and I started getting dizzy spells a lot. And so I went to Google MD because I was getting numbness and all this.
Right.
And I felt out of body almost.
Yeah. Right.
So I went to the ER, and they were like, oh, no, you're having panic attacks, which made sense a little bit because I've had them my whole life also. And then on September 11th, 2014, I was at work, and I was completely confused on what I was doing, and literally I've done it my whole life, so there's no confusion.
Yeah,
it's like second nature. And I knew something was completely wrong. So I told my cousin who was my driver, or I was the driver, but he ended up having to drive, obviously.
Yeah.
But I said, dude, I think I'm having a stroke or something. This isn't right. And I went and sat in the truck. I went down. I had him take me home so I could take a shower. Then I went to the ER. And sure enough, it was a TIA. I stayed in the hospital for a week. And the neurologist, I always talk a lot about my kids. I raised a lot of kids, but I only have 3 biological kids. But I always talked about my sons because they're such great athletes.
Yeah.
Great kids. And I was talking about my kids to the nurses, and the neurologist came in and lit my butt. He was like, you want to be around for your kids? Because I smelled like liquor.
Right.
She was like, you better stop your crap, or
Yeah.
you're not going to be here to see your kids.
Man.
So I talked to God that night. Just asked for more time.
Yeah.
He gave it to me. Anyhow, so I started going to the gym and working out a lot and doing a lot of meetings, but it didn't feel like I didn't feel fulfilled.
Right.
And then, so my ex-wife, or my ex-girlfriend, we never got married, but I always call her my ex-wife, but she had other kids with another guy, and slowly I just started raising those guys too, just because.
Yeah.
So one of her sons, Shane, who works here sometimes, he was going to a Christian school, and my mom had just passed away, and I was sober 2 years. My mom got to see me sober 2 years, and my mom passed away out of nowhere from a stroke. So my stroke was never from my addiction.
Right.
So anyhow, it's just hereditary blood issues, but it still saved my life. It's probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Right.
So Shane just started getting on me. Well, first off, I went to the academic fair, and I was like, wow, this place is cool. It's a huge church with a high school hook to it. It was really cool, and the people were really friendly. So then I did that, and I did Fall Fest with them, and the place just was calling me a little bit, and I was looking for something more, but he kept saying to me, come to my church with me, Charlie, come to my church with me. And I finally went, and I can tell you exactly where I was sitting. Don't know what they were preaching about, but worship's what got me. Yeah. But it was Elevation Worship's Resurrected.
Oh, yeah.
And they were playing it, and I just felt God just take everything away. I've been here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Sheesh. That's also just really cool that Shane, like kept asking, like, come with me.
Yeah.
He's also such a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, we love having him around, but that's just, I mean, that's really special that he.
Yeah. Well, somebody else said it to me, and it made a lot of sense that the Lord knew that my kids was the way to me.
Right. Yeah. Thankfully he knows way better than us. And
Definitely.
he, like, if our hearts are too hard for us to get his attention or to see his attention on us right away, then he's going to put things into motion and people into place that are going to absolutely point us towards him, which is, it's really special that it ended up being the kids. And we see you all the time here. Like, we know the kind of dad and the kind of guy that you are. And so all of that makes all the sense in the world to me as you share your story. Is just like, that's actually who you are as a whole. That's awesome.
I made a ton of mistakes with them too, because I was in active addiction a lot. Mm-hmm. Even though I didn't see the problem with it, but now every time you get on the other side of anything, you're like, man, it could have been so much better, and I could have been, because they got their struggles now too,
right? And
maybe if they never saw that part of me, But on the other side of that, they saw me beat it, so they know that no matter what they come up against, they can handle it.
That's awesome.
With the Lord, there's nothing that's ever wasted.
Yeah.
Not a single thing.
True.
So when you were younger, growing up, and even through your years of addiction, what was your thought of God? Like the church and the faith? Like where was your mindset with all of that?
Honestly, I used to get on the church bus. It used to come through my neighborhood, and I used to go to church, and they actually used to call me the little preacher boy because I would ask so many questions and stuff. And even through all my mess, when you go to jail or prison, there's always church that comes. Right. And during the holidays, they come and it always touched me, but it was just never not the right timing, I guess.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little jealous of some of the people that get to come to this program because you guys offer so much God. And in all the programs I ever went to, there was like rehabs. They just want to read out of a book to you.
Right.
And even they'll downplay God and say, oh, you can use your higher power as a doorknob.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right. Well, that's one of the cool things. So the church that we go to, we have a once a month recovery service on Thursdays. That was just last night. And that was one of the guy who preached worked so much of the resurrection story with us coming up on Easter into, like, he preached on step one, and so they do a really great job of, like, the steps are helpful, but without the Bible and without the hand of God, ultimately you may be okay for a little bit, but the chance of complete freedom, like, there's only one way to complete freedom at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful, even though I don't have the past with substance and all of that, even the things that have taken hold in my life that I'm recovering from, those are even helpful for me to sit there and be like, yes, this is helpful, but if I don't choose Jesus and look for the answer in him, then ultimately I'm not going to get anywhere, which is, it's a hard thing to, like, balance and to fully grab onto. But at the same time, I'm like, hopefully I can find the right words eventually to help somebody understand that. That's awesome. Kind of off of what Sarah's question was, during that time when you were a kid, even up all of your time in jail and through the programs, were there certain people that you can look back? I know you talked about the kids, but was there anybody that would, like, come through that you, like, really became friends with, or that really helped you kind of stay?
I would say no, not really, but there was people that I aspired to be like, even though I couldn't stop doing what I was doing. I don't know if that's what your question was, but
that's great.
My my kid's mother's grandfather. I used to visit with him every Sunday. We'd go up and I'd help him clean the yard. He's an older guy.
Yeah.
And I really admired him, how his family looked at him.
Right.
And I always wanted that. And I think I kind of got it now. I'm not positive. What?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's great. I know that there's times where Lord will, even if it's not direct, like contact through our mess, quote unquote, there's still going to be people that I think that's great that you see living a certain way that you're like, man, that is what I would love.
People loved him and respected him.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have, I mean, I think I was always loved because of my work ethic.
Right.
But that's pretty much it, I think.
Yeah. No, that's great. Kind of as we get close to wrapping up here, is there anything that you like want to say, or like obviously again offering hope like through these stories, like, or is there anything at the front of your mind that like you could encourage somebody listening?
Well, I tried everybody else's way, and I mean honestly, through prayer, and prayer is so important. Like, you got to talk to God every day. It can't be just when you're in a bind. Every single day I talk to him whether I got something to say or not, just to like some gratitude and some, just for him to lead me and use me. I ask him to use me a lot. And then if you're feeling lost, the best way to get unlost is to help somebody else. So just through serving so important. I found that during COVID.
Right.
I started helping feed a lot of people through my church, and it was as healing as the beginning. And that's why I prayed for a serving job. Yeah. Because I was hoping it'd pan out the same way, and it does some days. Yeah. It's still a job.
Yeah. And it's a busy one.
Yeah. Because I want to hit on that for a second of how incredible you are at your job and how well you serve our community.
It's true.
Because I've got the privilege of, joining you at a couple of your pickups, and how you treat people, how you love people, how you respect their perspective, where they come from, and have beautiful conversations with people. Yeah. You are literally doing ministry in ways that no one else here can. Yeah. And it's incredible to hear your stories
really
and the things you get to witness and things you get a part of. It's like it's encouraging to us. Yeah. You truly are a blessing to this ministry.
Try.
Yeah, you do. You do a great job. We're so thankful for you and so like proud of you, even just for like sitting down and doing this. I know that it's not like it's very out of your comfort zone.
Very out of my comfort zone.
And most people that we like ask to come on here, it is. And even like we started doing this, like it is a very different thing. But the opportunity to put God's glory in what He can do in the life of a like imperfect, sinful human, like at the end of the day, is worth it because it's just about Him. So it's awesome.
Like everything changed. Everything changed because you know what? Before God, when something happened, it was disastrous.
Right.
And literally now, when things happen, it just doesn't feel like it's the end of the world.
That's so good.
So good.
That's so good. Great. Perfect. Perfect little ending note there. That's awesome, Charlie. But thank you for doing this. Thank you
thank you so much.
Thank you for saying yes. And I know that you really did such a great job articulating your story and sharing clearly what God's done in your life. So just thank you for letting us be a part of it. We get to hear bits and pieces of your story, but this is the first time I feel like I've just like got all of it, and I'm thankful. So thank you so much.
No problem.
And we'll see you guys back on Stories of Hope next week.